Technology permeates our daily lives. It is always important to think about what technology should do instead of what it can do. I'm Richard Koh, and welcome to our Tech 101 with our technology strategist. Hello everyone. Thank you again for taking the time to join us here at Tech 101 series with our tech strategist. Today I have Dennis Chung, who is going to talk to us a little bit about hybrid cloud management, certainly top of mind for a lot of our customers and partners. So welcome to the show, Dennis.
Hey, thanks, Richard.
All right, so before we get into that topic itself, tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do on a day-to-day basis?
Literally what I do every day, I talk to customers about the problem they face at the front lines. And what I try to do is to take their business problems, translate it to a technical solution, and help them on that journey.
Okay, very cool. Definitely a lot of people are talking to you and figuring out what their digital transformation strategy should look like, right?
Yes.
Now, as we were discussing just before we started filming this, is that this whole topic around hybrid cloud and hybrid cloud management, I think there's a lot of challenges in that space. Tell us a little bit more about your experiences and your kind of interaction with customers in that space. What do they see?
This is a very, very complicated topic if you ask me. It is not the conversation of, I want to do cloud native applications. It's got to go back. It's got to go way back because nobody start like, today I have everything, right? So there's always legacy that builds up. And as you see that phases of them growing in the compute requirements, you will always almost certainly hit most of our enterprise customers and they actually say, I have things that cannot move to the cloud. And with that, they also say, there are some things that can start innovating and go to the cloud. Now with that motion, you see a fracture. And as we in the industry try to resolve it, you will see them try to take what they are comfortable with, their existing tools, and try very hard to extend that into the cloud.
I see.
But cloud has new capabilities, right?
That's true.
So it's going to be very, very tough to have existing tools, try and force feed it into that.
That's true.
So then they try very hard to bring tools in to replace what they have and then extend it outwards. What we uniquely have is a set of tools and capabilities on Azure itself. Being native to Azure, it means we are able to innovate at a very fast pace. And having said that, we can take care of the new capabilities, but it also means that we can build in a hybrid sense back to work on on-prem environment. But there's a very important thing to recognize because the ability to be able to come back to manage doesn't sacrifice that you say, I'm going to be less secure.
Okay.
Because there's always a concept of what is a data plane and what's a control plane.
That's true.
And what we're trying to do is to extend the control plane with the new, sexy, up-to-date tools in Azure and try and connect back to manage that infrastructure without sacrificing security as much as we can.
Okay, that's really cool because in many ways what we're doing is that we're leveraging about our legacy business, if you will. Like we have been in the enterprise space for a long time. We know how on-premises software works, how those enterprise really work. And with the cloud technologies, we can really bring the best of both worlds together. Is there any specific areas that customers kind of run into challenges when they think about this?
First of all, trust is one big element. They will always think if the remote cloud tools can come into the environment, does that mean anybody can come in? So that's always a very, I would say a twisted perception, which I think we can address over time through trust. Because I mean, if I don't trust you, it's very difficult.
Today, you're gonna have a very interesting demo for the audience here around Azure Arc itself. Tell us a bit more about Azure Arc and what the audience can expect. Okay,
so Azure Arc is a unique hybrid set of services that we give to our customers on Azure. There are actually two major sets to it. One piece of it is in the management part of it, to be able to provide a consistent tool to do something that you're very familiar with. For example, log collection. For example, systems health monitoring. For example, if you configure something, how can you be sure the cloud assets and the on-prem assets are being managed and configured in a very consistent way? Maybe for compliance reason, maybe because you have a standard in place that you want to achieve. The second aspect of Arc is that if you're on-prem and you always want to try and innovate, do new things, but you turn around and say, how come cloud has everything and on-prem, very difficult to catch up.
That's right.
So Azure Arc has these Azure Arc enabled services that allows you to then take some of the native cloud services, like for example, SQL Azure, and bring it down on-prem through containers.
Okay, very cool. Okay, so this is really exciting because the way we think about it is that word that you kept, you keep using, consistency, right? Whether is it on the on-prem environment versus in the cloud itself. So this is really exciting. So shall we go take a look at the demo?
Yeah, let's go.
Let's go.
Hello. Before we start on the demo, I'd like to point you to where you can find information about Azure Arc. Go to any of your search engine, search for Azure Arc documentation. It should bring you to this documentation library where you can find information to get started or to learn more. For today's demo, I will actually be focusing on just the Azure Arc enabled servers and point you to the experience of how to add one of your local virtual machine perhaps to Azure Arc, and what can you see from Azure Security Center about the insights once you enable an Azure Arc service on your location. Here you are looking at my Azure Administrative Portal. One of the cool things when you enable a local resource, be it in your own data center or in other cloud platforms, it shows up like an Azure object and allows you to then manipulate it, manage it, and well, depending on what you do, treat it like an Azure resource. So I'll just do a very simple one. If I go to all resource and I want to look for a particular server, perhaps in a particular physical data center which I have, I can make use of this thing called tags, and I have tagged a virtual machine to a certain data center. And in this case, I have SG1, which is this is my home, and EC2 is actually sitting on AWS. So just to show you, if I go to DC1, this is actually currently on premise. So it says cloud provider not applicable, but I can really search for it, right? So this is where it's currently located on my physical box. If I go to the EC2 setup, it will show you that it's actually sitting on AWS. So regardless of the environment, as long as it's a supported platform, we can bring it into the view for us to be able to manage it using the rest of the Azure services. For example, Security Center, and that's something I'm going to show you later. Another example is Log Analytics Service, and it's not just limited to these two. There are a lot of other services that gets turned on that you can apply to these machines, even though they are not hosted on Azure. And next up, I will be showing you how to create, or rather how to enlist a virtual machine to be managed under the Azure Arc services. So let's create an Azure Arc resource. Click on the create, look for Azure Arc. I'm going to choose servers and click on create. So there are various ways of adding Azure Arc. In this case here, I just have one server, so I'm just going to go with generating the script. You can of course do the other options where you have multiple servers to work on, or adding the servers from an update management platform. So in this case here, I'm just going to do generate the script for a single server, since I'm only interested in bringing one online. You can read the information on some of the requirements and click on next. And over here, I'm going to say, while I add it, I'm going to add it to a resource group so I can manage it in the same way. By the way, I can do Windows and Linux in case you have not known about it. There are various ways of connectivity, and that really just influences how the script is being structured to reach out to Azure services. So my virtual machine is connected directly to the internet via my home router. So I'm going to just take public endpoint. All right. Now there are various tags here, and some of the tags are pretty interesting. So there's a data center tag which I was showing you earlier in the demo. So I can put this as SG1 again, well, being SG1 may be my house, and I'm located in Bishan. Perhaps any additional information will probably be useful if you like to use them. One of the other one that I fictitiously do up, right, is a location tag. So I can do a location and I say this is in SG1 dash level 1, maybe rack 11, just for the fun of it, right? And I'm just going to do next. Okay, now this is the interesting part. You can choose to download it, or you can choose to copy the script. I'm going to just copy the script. All right. Once I copy the script, I'm going to go to the virtual machine, start DC2. I'm going to bring up the notepad. Okay, and I'm going to paste this in. You can take a look at the script if you like, or next step is to actually save as. So I'm going to just save as any name I like. Run this .ps1 because this is ultimately actually a PowerShell script. I'm going to put the codes there and do save. If I do not put the codes, it will just appear as a text file. So I really just want this as a PowerShell script. I'll save it. Alright, I'll close any of them. Right, so you see the script on the desktop. All you need to do is to log in as administrator and run this PowerShell script. Okay, so you can right click it, run with PowerShell, and just wait. Alright, you'll need to respond yes to this, and notice a bunch of stuff gets created on the same folder where I run this PowerShell script. It's actually downloading a connector to be deployed into this box. The next step it will do is prompt me to go and enroll a device. I actually have to go to a browser and follow the prompt. It will just come up in a moment. And so you see the instruction on the screen right now tells me to open a browser and go to a place indicated there. So I'm just going to open a browser. I'll shift the browser over just for you to take a look later. But I'm going to just go microsoft.com/device login. Right? And so that's the URL I'll go to. And on this URL, this is how the page looks like. Okay, and what I really need to do is to punch in the code that's on the screen. So I have this code here. I'm going to punch it onto the web browser. Alright, so just give me a minute. Let me just put it in. SZ5A8HDZ9. Once that's validated, it's going to challenge for my identity just to make sure that this is a legit enrollment. So what's going to happen right now if I press next is that a multi-factor challenge pops up. You won't be able to see this because this is actually on my device. So I need to go to my device and punch in the value that I see on the screen right now and press yes. It's on my phone right now so you can't see it. I have to go through my multi-factor, my thumbprint, and then it's going to let me through. Alright, so as you see this dot, done, and just continue. Okay, I'm going to bring this browser away and this will continue execution. So just to let you see the end message of the browser, yeah. So one more time, okay. So we're done with this, so we can actually close this. Alright, so the agents gets deployed, and before you know it, at the end of the script, when this is done, the script closes. You will be able to see your resource available on Azure Arc. So at this point, the prompt goes away and your machine has been enlisted into Azure Arc, and you should be able to see it in the Azure portal from now. So back at the Azure portal, I will just have to click close to continue, and as I go back to see all the resources and do a refresh, I see Stuck DC2 now. And as I examine the components for Stuck DC2, as whichever pre-configured policy starts coming down, it will start complying to what you have configured it to comply with. And just briefly take a look, right? So Stuck DC2, as we are speaking right now, it is starting the update management if I have configured that. Enable additional logging and monitoring, turning on monitoring insights if you like, and if you have certain regulatory compliance, you can make use of the Azure policy to push them down and get them to be evaluated against this particular virtual machine, and it gives you a report, right? And the same thing happens for Security Center if you like, and also doing tracking and inventorizing what's on your environment. So let's go to Security Center and see what we see, right? So I'll go to Home, we'll click on Security Center, and from here, I would have, in an enterprise environment, set up certain set of compliance, perhaps that I need everybody or everyone who stands up a resource to comply with certain level of standard, if not security posture. And when you enable your local machines, you basically subject then the local machines or virtual machines that you add to Azure Arc to be subjected to such policies in a very consistent way. The same way you secure a virtual machine in the cloud should consistently be the same way you secure the rest of them regardless of their location. And while we are not talking about Security Center here, I'm just showing that Security Center can help you take a look at these machines outside of Azure that are Arc enabled, and other services could come along, but in this case here I'm just looking at the Security Center just to show you how Security Center can help you consistently look into your posture regardless of the location of that resource. And inside this subscription I have various resources, and one very quick glance, right, I could really look into what are the resources. Great, and I can immediately improve my stand, right, posture by coming to take a look at these and understand more. I have deliberately not updated some of my virtual machine, so it's given me a level of severity and telling me which resources am I looking at. So in this case here, Stuck DC1 hasn't been updated at all. So what I'll do is I can click on this and I click on Fix. These are some of the things that Azure Arc can help you enable and just go with the flow, right? And that will immediately help you improve the posture that you currently see in your environment and secure them in a very consistent way, because these are your resources. So why should you actually treat them differently, right? So have that same security stand consistently across all the resources, be it on Azure, be it on premise, or be it on other cloud platforms. So after we enable that fix, I have gotten a notification. So I'm just going to take a look at the notification saying the remediation is successful.
Wow, Dennis, that was a great demo. I mean, it's really amazing that how you have shown us that with Azure Arc, you can enable those resources that is on-prem to become like Azure services that other Azure services can work on.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about what you show us with like Azure Security Center, for example.
So what I've done in the demo was basically to make that on-prem resource, make it appear like a cloud resource, and run the cloud native tools against it. So what you have saw just now was to use the Security Center, basically to use it as a very consistent interface as you manage the security aspects of your assets in the cloud and assets on-prem. Now to top it off, right, the key thing here is Azure can be accessed anywhere. But of course, we will want you to prove your identity very consistently beyond doubt that you are who you are in a secure device, secure environment. Once you gain access to it, you get a single consistent view using cloud native tools for all your assets in the cloud and the ones on-prem.
Now, when you think about some of the conversations that you have with customers, what are sometimes their, say, top 1 or 2 questions that they come up with when we are discussing about this topic?
Oh, okay. Actually, not just 1 or 2. There's a lot.
I'm sure there's a lot. Maybe
Yeah.
just name your
So-
top 1 or 2.
So the top question they actually ask, right, do you really truly can run anywhere for the set of services? So the answer is actually close to almost yes to everything.
Okay.
For the list of identified services, for example, data services or even like Azure App Services,
Okay.
we're able to use that and deploy on-prem and the edge. And of course, the cloud native ones as well, right? So most of the time, the question is about, you sure or not? And we just show it to them.
Okay, very cool, very cool. Now, the audience may not remember from previous series when we talk about the edge. Give me some examples a little bit about what are these edge devices or edge services.
Okay, so this is interesting. Now, put it to a scenario, I think maybe
Yep.
you can see easier, right? Say, for example, you're in an ambulance, and the traditional way of you going to the hospital in an A&E emergency is that the med tech is on the ambulance,
Right.
trying to sustain you, keep you stable, so that you can
Suffices.
go to the hospital, right?
Right.
Now, but the question here is, at the hospital, they have a lot of question marks. What's your problem? What should I prepare for you?
Right.
Is it a heart problem, or is it a physical injury? Is it a trauma case?
Okay.
Now, so these questions are usually answered by the medtech, but sometimes medtech do take mistakes, and there are a lot of things to cope in that few minutes within the vehicle.
That's true.
So the Azure Edge comes in play.
I see.
So you can run the Edge right in the ambulance itself,
Okay.
and you can connect, perhaps, for example, via 5G.
Okay.
So you can hook up the patient or casualty or whoever is in the ambulance
Yeah.
with that set of devices and relay live information while the medtech is actually attending to something.
Ah.
And the hospital can, based on those information, prepare accordingly.
Okay,
Shaving minutes.
those edge devices, if you will, are relaying very critical information
Yes.
in that case. And to come back to that whole Azure Arc and security center side of things, you can use these kind of tools to be able to manage all of this.
Yes.
Okay,
Correct.
very cool. So I'm sure the audience is excited to learn more about this and perhaps get their hands dirty about this. So where can they go learn more about this?
Wow. If you guys are interested, go to the URL below and you can find out more.
Okay, Dennis, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks, Richard.
And there you go. Once again, thank you for watching our Tech 101 series. I hope you enjoyed this one. I'll see you at the next one. Thank you.
Thank you.